Hey y'all, good to see you again here on Grassroots Gardening. I'm Ryan, and in today's video we're going to be planting a slope. We're at my house right now, and I've got the slope that you'll see in just a second that is in pretty bad shape. We're out here obviously by the pool on the new deck that we just got done restaining. It looks really good. Now it makes this slope look even worse because the deck and all looks so nice. So we're going to go to Grassroots to the nursery and pick out some plant material to get this slope looking the way it ought to. But let me flip you around now and you guys can see what we got our work cut out for us. So we've got a pretty steep slope. Let me give you guys a little reference there with the steps. It's not crazy steep, but it's got a pretty good slope to it. So obviously we need some big time help up in there. We just got done putting new irrigation, which we ran along the edge of the brick there. So we've got a couple new sprinkler heads so that we can irrigate this area. So now it's time to plant, and we've got some ground fabric already down. You see it's kind of rolled up a little bit there, and it needs some attention. So we'll pull it back up into place. And then I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to plant here, you guys. So I am a very haphazard gardener. I just bring stuff home from the nursery occasionally because I just get a wild hair and there's a new plant and I gotta have it. Then I just throw it, wherever. And so sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. This is the other side of the steps. Got a good bit of Asiatic jasmine, doing some nice ground cover work there. A little bit of the variegated Asiatic jasmine. This is Dianella, or variegated flax lily. We got some salvia there, some more salvia right yonder. So I usually plant along our raised bed zinnias in the spring. So maybe we'll throw some pansies along that base of the planter box just to give it some color when you're sitting down here on the deck. But as far as plants, I really don't know what I'm going to throw in here, y'all. I think we'll just go walk around the nursery and just pick out what we like, stuff that won't get too big, and see what we can figure out to put on this bank because it needs some help. All right, we just got to the nursery finally, and now it's time to pick us out some shrubs for our slope. And so I have a bad habit, as I mentioned earlier. When new stuff comes in, I gotta have it, so I'll just get the one plant, then I'll just stick it wherever. And if it works, fine, and if it doesn't, then I just move it later. That's just kind of the way I'm built. I don't have a grand plan. So what we're gonna do is pick out some things that I think will work, some things that'll stay low, and will look good on that slope. And then we're just gonna take a truckload of plants, put them where we think they work, and stand back and look, and change it if we have to. But I think I definitely want to go with some drift roses. We'll go over here and let's take a look at those first, because those stay small. 1.5 foot tall, 3 foot wide. They will lose their leaves in the winter, but it gives us a lot of color all summer long. So let's check those out and see which color we want to go with. All right, here's our drifts. I love this one here. This is the peach drift, and just look at these colors, y'all. Isn't that amazing? So all the colors of the inside of a peach. You got your yellow, orange, almost like a sherbet color. That's so bright, beautiful. So we gotta get maybe, I don't know, we'll get maybe two for each side. So that's the peach, definitely gonna get it. Then we gotta get us a popcorn, which is a really cool one. White and yellow roses, really beautiful little shrub. These only get 1 to 1.5 foot tall and 3 foot wide. So these will be perfect for the slope. And then another one that just popped into mind, because those are deciduous, we need something evergreen. Why don't we go with this newer Southern Living Collection Purple Pixie. So this is a dwarf, and it does have a weeping habit to it. So you see how it trails? Even on the picture, they kind of show it trailing over some steps. So that should work really well on our slope. And then maybe we can do some Hugendorn hollies to give us just a really nice green. Yeah, we'll get a couple of these Hugendorns. That'll look nice. And then, forget the name of this one. This is the Japanese name. Let's see. Kufujin, if I'm saying that correctly. Ilex crenata, so ilex means holly. This is a really nice variegated form. So that'll give us some a little bit of color in the winter time. So we'll grab a couple of those and then let's go see what else. Then we're walking by our koi pond. If you guys want to see it, let's check it out. See how our koi are doing. Oh, I see them up yonder underneath the lily pads. This thing has performed so beautifully all summer long. If you remember back, those things in springtime were showstoppers, the pitcher plants. The canna's bloomed its head off all summer. And you know, it's getting tired now because we're getting close to mid-October. But it has just been a showpiece in the nursery. And there's our koi down there, just kind of chilling out in the shade, waiting on me to feed them. We'll have to give them some food here in a little while. But it's just, this pond, just everybody loves it, including me. So relaxing, just sitting down here listening to that water flow. It's really just a neat feature right down here in the center of the nursery. And we're not going to plant any of these because it gets too big. But look at the color on this viburnum. That is just as red can be. Love that. Let's see which one this one is. This is going to be popcorn double file. We got to plant one of those maybe on the driveway, because that is just stunningly beautiful fall foliage right there. I mean, look at it. It's just showing out. Everybody else is still green. That viburnum's even blooming, but really stands out. I mean, look, it almost look like the burning bush. Look at this color. Isn't that spectacular? Yeah, we're gonna have to, when we do the driveway planting, we definitely have to throw one of those in the mix. Now, Nandina might be another one we could put on the hillside. We've got Obsession, which is a new one from Southern Living that we can't keep. It's got the beautiful red foliage as it comes out. And then they've got Lemon Lime with its chartreuse. And let's see, which one is this one? Blush Pink right here. And then your standard Firepower. Firepower gets kind of big. All of these are probably in the 3 to 4 foot range. So we'll have to prune some stuff to keep it like we want it on the hillside. And then we're going to throw in a couple Liriope, or old monkey grass as a lot of folks call it. I like using this. I hate it actually, to be honest, when people put it down a sidewalk. But when you kind of stagger them in amongst other plants, I think they look really good. We've already got Asiatic jasmine, but we could throw some Snow and Summer Asiatic jasmine into the mix. And then I definitely want to grab some of these junipers. And we're not going to obviously cover the whole thing, but we can use this. This is Blue Pacific right here in the 1 gallons. We can use it. And let's see which variety this is. So that's the Nana juniper. And I think planted in the correct spot, those will give us, of course, evergreen foliage and just look really cool. And it'll behave like we want it to, which is going to stay low and kind of creep. And I think that might be about it. I'll keep looking around and see if I see anything else. But I think everything else that I'm seeing right now is just going to get simply a little too big. Some grasses might be nice, but again, might just get a little too big for that area. So I think that's probably going to do it, guys. So let's get this stuff loaded up and let's get to the house and start planting. All right, guys, we're loaded up. We got our plants, so let's head to the house and let's go pop some holes in the ground, add our compost, add our biotone, and get these puppies planted. Okay, guys, so I got my plants kind of spaced out like I want them, or like I think I want them, and I think it's going to look pretty cool. I do want to explain one thing about, we're fixing this existing bed, so there's already plants out here, so we're kind of dodging around those. And I'm the type that I just plant haphazardly. For two reasons. One, that's just my style, and I'm impatient, and I just throw stuff wherever wherever I see fit, and I just see what it does. It may compete with another plant, it may lose, it may die, I may have to move it. But the other thing is, I bring home a certain number, usually just onesies, of different plants, new plants that we have at the nursery, so that I can experiment with them, and that I can grow them, and then I can, provide some feedback to the customers when I'm selling the plants to them. So, plant it here, don't do this, don't do that, yada, yada, yada. So to keep that in mind when you see my haphazard crazy design here. So we'll start over here at the corner. Decided to put a peach drift right there, and then a popcorn. We've got our two Hugendorn hollies. I want to kind of put those up near the brick. And we've got a kind of a bald spot right here in amongst our Asiatic jasmine. So since we have some variegated, if you see over there in the middle, we've got some variegated jasmine already mixed in there. I'm going to go ahead and mix in some on this side, kind of balance it out a little bit, even though I'm not a very symmetrical type person. Another two snow and summer jasmines, regular green liriope, and then the variegated liriope, just kind of space them out up there in the corner just to fill some space. And then another thing, when I'm gardening, I like to include the plants into the hardscape if possible. What I mean by that, we've got this Asiatic vine, Asiatic jasmine vine right here. So I'm going to take and just tuck him up and let him connect in the brickwork. I think it looks cool. And it kind of joins the the plant element to the hardscape, to the brick. And I just love it when they combine. It's just like arbors and all that other cool stuff when you kind of get to bring the plants into the landscape a little bit, if that makes any sense at all. So we've got our purple pixie here, and I'm going to plant it real close to the steps because I'm going to encourage it to do the same thing. I kind of want it to come on the brick and then cascade off. I just think it looks so cool, when you incorporate them like that and they kind of work together. It softens the whole brick or house or corners, type thing to me. I don't know if I'm making sense today. I'm excited. I'm ready to get these plants in the ground, and I'm really ready to spread some mulch so we can kind of see the finished effect. I'm going to do the same thing here with this juniper. This is our Blue Pacific, so going to kind of encourage him to grow out onto the brickwork a little bit. Did that on both sides because I do think that when you have steps like this, I do like symmetry when I'm dealing with steps. That's why I've got the two purple pixies there. We'll have the two junipers down a little bit lower. Then we've got the two pots up on the very top of the steps. I do like it to match when we're dealing with something like these brick steps. We got our main man, Luis, fixing our irrigation for us, so all of our plants can do as good as they can. And then on this side, let's see, we kind of did similar. Got Asiatic jasmine up there, another liriope, and then a peach drift and a popcorn. Not in the same spot as the other side, but I think it'll help just kind of tie the two sides together. And then check out our garden, you guys. We planted this a few days ago, if you remember when we did the video, and it's growing really nice. And Luis was kind enough to go ahead and put some sprinklers in there. Look at that broccoli. It's really coming on. And so what Luis is doing up here for our pots, because watering, we've got so many plants now, it takes me forever. So he's going to hook up some micro irrigation to go to each of the individual little pots, so that I don't have to come out here and water them, because I also have to water the greenhouse here at home and then the greenhouse at Roots, and etc., etc. So here's just kind of the layout. That's where we got our little pool, hot tub, the porch. And while we're filming, let's just go walk out and take a look at the yard. I'll show you guys some of the future projects that I'm really excited about. Grass is looking good after we dressed it with compost. I've got a couple beds out here, one small one over there you see to the right. We're going to come in and plant some new shrubs in it and remulch it. Pretty big bed in the center. Do the same thing with it. Just experiment. I do have some Japanese maples I want to put in there. And then we got another pretty large bed over there to the left. So we're going to have some fun, plant some cool stuff in there. And then this one really needs some help. Got coffee cups colocasia to the left, banana, and then that really nice salvia. That's Anthony Parker salvia. Planted it kind of late. It should have long purple blooms by now, which I see them making the blooms, but he's going to be a little late this year. Then we've got to finish staining our little octagon right there. And then a really cool project that I know you guys are going to, or hopefully you guys are going to like. I can't wait to do it. I'm going to redo my fire pit area. So some of my bricks are falling over, or not bricks, but retaining wall blocks falling over. It just looks kind of unkept. My chairs have had it, so I got to get some new chairs. So we're going to redo that whole area. And then Luis is also putting some sprinklers up on that bank there so we can plant it. And my poor bird bath right there. If you notice that as I was panning through, I was like, should I say something or not? That's obviously not the right combination. So what happened at Grassroots, we had a mismatched set. I couldn't sell them, so I was like, maybe I can make this work. So it looks kind of ghetto, but it does actually function for the birds. Anyhow, got some cool projects coming up. So I'm gonna quit running my mouth now. We'll go over here and get on this shovel and start digging some holes. I've got my biotone, and I've also got my C9 compost, and I'll explain to you guys once we get into some of these sandier areas how we're going to help these plants out with drainage, or maybe too much drainage. So I'll show you guys what we're going to do there, and let's get busy. Y'all, I'm tired. Digging holes is hard work, especially when you hit clay. So I want to show you guys something. This would be a good time to kind of explain something I tell my customers at Grassroots. Whenever they have heavy clay soils and they have a plant like this loropetalum right behind me that's not going to like wet feet. And what wet feet means is he doesn't want his roots constantly in moist soil. And so when you have a plant like that, I always tell them to plant on top of the ground. They're like, what do you mean, Ryan? What are you talking about? How do you plant on top of the ground? Well, I'm going to show you guys an example here, and I think this will be a perfect spot for it, where we can make a plant work that we want here, because I really want him to trail over these steps. We're going to make him work in not less than optimal conditions, we'll put it that way. So I've got some super heavy clay. I'm going to show you guys in a minute. It actually has kaolin in it, so let me show you what I'm talking about. So right here next to the steps, as I was digging, look at what we've hit. This stuff is nasty. I mean, it is. So this is the kaolin right here, this purple, white, chalky stuff. It's like Play-Doh. See there, you can even see like my fingerprint in it. But it just holds moisture, and it will just, this will be just a swimming pool, and this loropetalum is gonna die. So what I've done is dug it crazy deep, and I'll probably get even a little bit more of this clay out of here. I mean, it is wet. Look at that. It is soaking wet. And so that would for sure kill this loropetalum. So what I'm going to do is put some, if I had soil conditioner, this would be a great time to put it in. Soil conditioner is just really composted pine bark. It's just light, it's nice and light and fluffy. It allows for good drainage. What I do have is some of my Happy Frog potting soil here that's going to have the perlite in it. If I can get the bag open and show you guys, right here. So all the perlite, and this is not going to compact. This is going to allow the water to flow through. So we're going to put that in the bottom, probably, I don't know, maybe even 6 inches deep. And what I'm going to kind of do here is mound up right here mound up just a little bit, and we're going to fill in this whole area with different soil than that clay. We're going to use the Happy Frog and my friend's C9 compost, and I also have a little sand right over there where I hit a sand pocket. I'm going to blend all those ingredients together, and we're going to plant on top of the ground. So this is ground level. We're actually going to build us another layer of soil, and we're going to plant in there. So that's what I mean when I say plant on top of the ground. That way, this fella's roots, if he wants to send them down into the clay to get moisture, he can. If he doesn't have to, but we're not forcing his roots to stay in the clay, which is always wet, and he's gonna hate us for it, and he's gonna die. So this will work. I've done it before, but that is what I mean by when I say planting on top of the ground. First, I'm gonna put a little bit of our Happy Frog. Just about, like I said, about 4 inches or so. I tore a stupid little bitty hole and ain't want to come out. That'll be good. And then we're going to add some of the C9 that my buddies make in the upstate of South Carolina. And this is the one that has all the worm castings and compost, and it's just beautiful, beautiful, rich stuff. So we're going to add some of that in there. And we're basically just forming another footing for this plant. And just kind of break that up a little bit. Now I'm going to go grab some of that sand. And here's some of just our native sand. I'm going to add a shovel full of that. And then we're going to kind of just come in here and blend those 3 together. I think I'm going to go with a little bit more Happy Frog. Something like that. We'll blend all of those in, maybe a little bit more C9. Give it that good old organic fertilizer and microbes. And blend that all together. And this plant will be happy, happy, happy. Now, so where my hand is, that's where the base of the plant, the base of the root ball is going to go. So it's probably a foot deep now to that clay layer where the water is going to settle. So that's going to give us plenty of drainage. We don't have to worry about our roots being, totally submerged or constantly moist and killing that plant. So we've just kind of essentially, built a whole nother floor, if you will, a foot thick for this plant to set on. We'll bring the soil up around it. It's also going to help us get the elevation that we need to get that loropetalum, that purple pixie, to run out across these bricks like I wanted it to do anyway, so it all works out. Now we're going to take our biotone, a couple handfuls, sprinkle it all in the hole. Then we're just going to take and set our plant just like that. Go ahead and let him know it's okay. If he wants to grow on out over the brick, he can do so. And then we're just going to backfill around him with the same conglomeration of soils that we made for his footing, or whatever you want to call it. So that'll work right there, guys. And we're on a slope too, so that will further encourage drainage and that water to flow downhill and get away from this guy's root systems. And I guarantee you, with that biotone and the ingredients that we just put in that hole, and we water him minimally on the get-go just to get him established, he's going to be fine. It's going to look so cool going out over these bricks. Okay, so I got me a big old heaping shovel full of my biotone right there. I've got my compost blend, and I've got my drift rose. So we're going to loosen him up a little bit, beat up on him, tell him he's going to grow out here beautifully or else, and dump a little bit of contents in there. And this is our drift. So I'm going to stick him in the hole. Yep, that's about the perfect depth. And I'm going to add a little bit of our compost first. And then I'll mix that in with our native soil that's in there. And then I'm going to take my biotone, and we're just going to sprinkle it all around. We want that, we want the biotone to come in contact with the roots. That's why we want it on the very, surface of the hole. Set him in there, and I think we'll probably turn him about like something like that right there. And I'm liking that. So what I'm gonna do now is, again, just take 50-50 compost to native soil, put them together, and then we're just gonna fill around our shrub, pack it gently, and then water it in, and it's gonna be good to go. And we'll just keep going all the way around the plant, making sure we got all the voids filled. And by adding this organic worm casting compost, this is going to feed it for quite some time. We definitely don't want to feed this plant until early next spring, because we don't want to encourage any new growth right now going into winter, because what will happen if we were to fertilize it, it'll shoot out new growth, then we're going to get a freeze and it's going to damage it. So it's just kind of worthless to do any heavy fertilization right now. However, this organic fertilizer is going to stay in there for quite some time and continue to feed the microbes and the plant itself. And I don't wear gloves. I like to get into gardening. That's what the fun part for me is getting my hands dirty. This to me is therapy. I could do this literally all day, every day. I just love to plant plants. I love to dig in the earth. It just makes me feel, connected in some weird way. I'm not a big philosopher or crazy spiritual person, but I don't know. I just like getting dirty. I like to dig holes, and I love to plant these plants and then just watch them, hopefully, and most of the time, do great and just grow into big, beautiful, either trees, shrubs, grass, whatever. I don't care what it is. I just like planting stuff. And then, hopefully this whole yard and landscape here one day will, be something. Even after I'm gone, they can say, hey, I remember that guy. He used to plant trees everywhere. So anyway, it's just kind of cool for me. This is relaxing. This is my therapy. It makes me happy. And I just love playing in the dirt. All right, guys, there you have it. I just kind of haphazardly threw some mulch down because we're losing our light. And again, I wish we could do the other side, but it just ain't happening because I'm tired. It's about to get dark and I need a cold beverage like bad. So anyway, I hope you guys learned something from that. At least nothing else, just how to plant in clay soils. And we'll just continue to watch this bed evolve. Now we've got some space. We can see what these other guys do, and then next spring we can, or maybe into this fall, we might throw in some perennials to add color. But we'll just let this thing just do what it wants to do and evolve, and just go with it and have fun with it. But hope you guys were able to learn at least something from this video. Now would be a good time to hit the subscribe and like button down there if you will, please, please, please. And always remember, the more you know, the more you grow. See you on the next video, y'all.